Thank you all.
All right, take a couple questions.
Hard ones to Rob.
It seems like there still is a group of senators that may be hesitant to support something that is not paid for. I'm just wondering if the various paid for that negotiated, if you think that's going to be satisfying that group.
We were careful in this process to have the Congressional Budget Office and the Joint Committee on Taxation and Office of Management and Budget look at our pay-fors. And as I said earlier, there's no taxes in this legislation, but there's also, $550 billion of infrastructure that's paid for. And I think that's important right now. I will say part of the reality of infrastructure spending is it's not going to be spent this year or next year. This is spending over 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. For long-term capital assets, think of a bridge that might last for 50 or 70 years. So that's why I said earlier, this adds to the efficiency of the economy, makes us more productive. Therefore, there will actually be revenue coming back into the coffers. We have a study from Penn Wharton, which talks about some specific numbers based on our package that we have laid out, but it indicates that it'll actually help grow the economy, help create jobs, and therefore help bring more revenue back into the economy. So this is the kind of spending Republicans and Democrats alike can get behind. So it's paid for, but it also is going to result in America being more productive, more efficient, and therefore more revenue coming back into the federal government.
And I think the strength of our vote tonight showed that we have support from both parties, from folks who are fiscally responsible, fiscally conservative. So we've taken a lot of time to ensure that we were paying for this package and doing so in a way that was responsible and that was defensible. As you saw, our vote tonight was broadly bipartisan, and we anticipate over the course of the coming days, as we work through the amendment process, that we will earn and garner more support. So stay tuned as we move forward. So the 550 of our legislation is separate and apart from the baseline funding. This is all new investment funding, one-time funding that, as Rob said, will be spent over the course of a number of years, because logistically that's how it happens when you're spending infrastructure dollars. But this is separate and apart from baseline dollars.
There's been some confusion about the numbers, and the way to look at it, I think, is that this is a one-time shot in the arm to our nation's infrastructure to address the very real problems that exist, including a lot of deferred maintenance that is built up over time. As my colleague said, this is the first time in decades we've done this. So it's an additional $550 billion on top of the normal spending that would occur, and that's the baseline spending you talk about.
Let's call on some women.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is what made this process easier, frankly, is that we had some good legislation to work with. Not in every committee, but most committees had reported something out. We were able to pick up their policy. And that made the process more bipartisan as well, because those tended to be, as Senator Kramer said, very bipartisan products. Yes?
But we did incorporate the authorizing language of committees that have done their work.
Yep. Thank you.
You can have one.
The other is what you think the next steps are. Is this a week, 2 weeks? Do we know how long it takes?
Well, we don't control the floor. As folks have heard me say before, one person controls the floor, and you're welcome to go see him. But we expect that we'll be moving forward in a speedily process, ensuring that it's open, transparent, and allowing members to participate fully. We are, as you all know, we have summaries that have been distributed to members, and we anticipate that language will be available soon. We're still in the finalizing portions of a package. The bill's like this big, but we expect that to be done very soon. It's really big. It's really big. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll have all the information soon.
No, you already asked a question. Yeah.
In the similar vein, on amendments, some of your colleagues, both Republican and Democrat, have said that they want to see certain amendments. I know Senator Parker with water and Republicans. Others said, how open are you guys to amendments to the final bill once you see it? And do you think that amendment? How long do you think that amendment process will go on for based on your conversations with your colleagues?
Yeah, let me say we're very open to amendments. We want this to be a fair process so that Republicans and Democrats alike have an opportunity to try to amend the legislation. We're both committed to that. We intend to be very involved in that, as you can imagine. And my hope is that we'll move quickly, but give members a chance to do that. I don't know how long it's going to take. That's not up to us. It's up to the leadership, but also to members.
That's right.
How long members want to continue to debate this issue. But what happened tonight was a huge step forward, because the first step in all these processes is how do you get on the legislation? And once you're on it, then there tends to be the ability for Republicans and Democrats to figure out, how to proceed, both on the amendment structure and, getting the language and being able to, understand exactly what's in it. So I think the vote will grow.
I do
And
too.
although tonight's vote was very encouraging, and as you know, we were trying to get to 60. We exceeded our goals. I think we ended up at 67, and if you include Senator Rounds, who was not able to come for family reasons, he was a supporter of the legislation, as you know, part of our group, so it would have been 68. That's pretty darn good for a start, and we think we can build on that as members begin to realize the impact of these projects on their states, on the people they represent. Let me also say something that we've worked very closely with the White House on this, and in fact, Senator Sinema and I have been negotiating with the White House in addition to our colleagues, and I want to thank them. I want to thank Steve Ricchetti in particular, who has taken the lead for the White House, also Brian Deese, and President Biden
And Louisa
for working
Terrell.
with us, and Louisa Terrell as well. So that's important for us to comment on, because frankly, a lot of the strong vote you saw tonight, I think, on the Democratic side was because President Biden was supportive. I also want to thank our staff, because they have been working unbelievable hours.
They
and done a
literally haven't
terrific
slept
job.
in months. Mm-hmm. Yep. Our bill is a supplemental bill. So our bill is $550 of a supplemental appropriation, along with authorizing language for the base. But just like base funding is always done through the appropriations process, that will continue to be done through the appropriations process. We're not taking the jobs of the appropriators, right? So we're doing a supplemental bill with all the authorizing language from the committees of reference.
So it's an historic level of funding, and it will make a huge difference for our nation's infrastructure over time. But Senator Sinema is absolutely right. It's a 5-year supplement, in essence, to the existing spending, which will continue under the normal committee process with appropriations every year. And look, I think this is an incredible opportunity for us to both improve our infrastructure, which is badly needed, make us more competitive, but second, to show that bipartisanship can work. We can get things done in this town. So I'm very pleased with our ability tonight to move on to the legislation and continue to demonstrate that.
But yeah, one question. It is the White House calling, so I need to get going.
Oh,
Yeah, that's Steve.
yeah.
I shouldn't answer while we're here. Okay, last question. You've been waiting.
Can you identify more where you're going to get $200 billion in COVID forecasts? And can you say what happened to the infrastructure bank and the $10 billion in transfer funds that
So the unused COVID funding will actually that'll become a list. So when the bill is published, it'll be listed out in there. But what we tried to do as a group was to find pots of money that were neither obligated or allocated. So funds that were left over in some cases, in some areas, working with the OMB and specific agencies to identify areas where they had some excess. We were kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel to get little bits and pieces out of small accounts where they had very small amounts left, but really just trying to be efficient with government dollars and not leave extra dollars laying around in accounts where they wouldn't be used. But we'll certainly have a...
from that money was going to go somewhere. Where are you going to take it?
Well, what I'm trying to describe is that actually for much of these dollars, they were in accounts where the programs had ended and there were excess dollars in the accounts. So they weren't actually planning to go somewhere. They were excess dollars in accounts. And that's most of where the funding is coming from. But we'll have an accounting of each of those to the fairly small dollar amount. We actually have one document that lists out tiny little account amounts, which will be included in our legislation.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks so much, guys.
Good job.